Hey guys, this is Casper with Tape, and today you join me for episode 6 of Kerbal Wars, and we start off with my Corvette, which is, well, today it's hunting, and it's hunting for the rebels, which we have eluded us thus far. We've only taken down one, and they stole our ship, so they kind of got us on both counts, really. But anyway, it is time to rename this, because it is not just the Corvette. This is actually a slightly different one from last episode. I updated it because it needed a few things. And it was designed with the idea of needing oxidizer for nuclear engines. But anyway, the name I have picked out for this is Illustrious, and it's the Corvette. Actually, it's not the Mark II, it's a Mark I. The other one was a prototype, so I should probably change that at some point. But yes, this is the Illustrious, and it shall be hunting, and it shall happen. It's lifetime career of hunting shall be illustrious, or something like that. I just really like the name, the name and the word illustrious. It sounds regal. But anyway, let's rename this to Mark 1, as it truly is. Maybe we should leave it Mark 2, really scare the hell out of the rebels, so they're like, oh my god, this is a Mark 2. We haven't even seen the Mark 1 yet. What has it done? It destroyed the planets with its death laser. But anyway, let's accelerate ourselves to Minmus, which is where we have found the rebels to be hiding. It seems like every time we beat them on a battlefield, they just jump to another moon, but they will be running out. And, well, signals we have received have kind of displayed that there is something bigger with them. We don't know if it's a ship or a station, hopefully a station, because if it's just another Corvette, that's going to be a problem, or much worse if it was like a dreadnought or something. But yeah, we don't know what's going on. So instead of sending our carrier or some fighters, we decided that we will send our biggest, baddest battleship, which is actually a reasonably small battleship, but it's all we have right now. And that guy looks either happy or scared, I can't tell from here. But on our way, our engines start to overheat because they're very close together and they're within armor, so they can't be destroyed so easily, because obviously it's a battleship, it's incredibly well protected. So it's just a matter of throttling down a bit and hoping that it doesn't explode within there, tearing apart the ship. And you can see the temperature gauges are on. I turned them on to monitor what was going on. You can see the batteries heating up as well. But yeah, this does have some pretty serious overheating problems, and some slight fuel flow problems. It flows better to the inside engines than the outside engines. But anyway, I decide, rather than losing all the thrust to cool these down, I'll just throttle these down and then throttle the other ones up a bit more, so I get basically the maximum thrust. I didn't do it perfectly, but I didn't really have time. I was more planning my attack. But yeah, it looks like we didn't get our encounter fine, and we didn't lose any engines, so that's all good. And yeah, that looks like an encounter with Minmus. It's probably not, yeah, it's a little high. I'll do my plane change later where it's just easier to think about, because, well, that's how I do things. I just do it where it's easy. So yeah, and this is the plane change. This is our Corvette with Kerbin down there in the background, and you can see these missiles on the front. Those are anti-fighter missiles. Hopefully they'll be useful today, but they're all prototypes. All these weapons are prototypes, and it's a prototype ship, really. So yeah, we don't know how well it's going to perform, but hopefully pretty well, and hopefully it will be able to deal with any threats that are out there, since we know that the rebel heavy fighter that was, well, actually in the first episode can decimate a carrier, and the Blade is a pretty bulky ship. But anyway, I'm just going to skip through the falling towards Minmus, because you know what that looks like. It's a lot of falling and a lot of Minmus. So yeah, let's slow ourselves down. I've dropped in just above the rebels, and I'm going to drop into their orbit after a couple of, well, I think I have to go around a couple of times, but yeah. Anyway, my engines have cooled down, so I can use maximum thrust, but I have left those at 86%, so that they stay cool, basically. Anyway, skipping ahead again to our well, proper maneuver, so we're in position to move in on the rebels. Yeah, this does accelerate reasonably slowly, actually. It's much nicer to use than the carrier, and it has a better frame rate, so it's generally better. But anyway, it's just literally a matter there as you sort of drifting inward towards the rebels. So yeah, no fuel was expended, and now we're here to slow down. But you can see I've used a lot of my fuel, and that's because, well, this is a pretty short range ship. I thought it would be slightly longer range, but it's got a pretty low fuel density because it was designed, again, with having oxidizer on board in mind. However, that's no longer a thing in 1.0, so yeah, its range is a little shorter than I'd like, but still, it's alright. But anyway, the rebels have seen us coming, and it looks like the blade has detached from what we can now confirm is a station. It looks pretty thrown together, but it looks like it has a lot of communications type things on it, well, lots of arrays and high gain antennas to detect us coming. But it does look quite rebel-y, I think. Anyway, they get a missile away, but they, definitely not I, designed them pretty badly. But look how amazing that shot was. It kind of like spun around and got him on it was a curve shot. Yeah, no, it was, those, I mean, the rebels forgot to put decouplers on those missiles, but I still love that curve shot. Anyway, as it escapes, we see it with our Corvette and quickly flick around. We're not too damaged. Those were pretty low impact anti-fighter missiles. It's all they have on board. But yeah, it does look like we are up against a station now, which is fine. It doesn't look well, it doesn't look armed, and it does have, it looks like it actually has some armor on it and a few things. It looks a bit thrown together. Clearly they lack a little bit of funding over on the rebel side. But anyway, let's catch up with this, or even if we can't catch up with it, I'm sure our missiles can, because this ship is fast, but it's no fighter. So yeah, I guess I'll not null my velocity completely, just because, well, then I can get a bit more of a run-up. Anyway, let's decouple our little missile. Now, the thing I discovered about these missiles is the only control they have is RCS, and it's not very good for controlling very tiny things. So these probably need to be updated to have probably some torque, or just a better probe, because you can see it's flicking RCS all over the place, and it just makes it quite hard to control. So yeah, but anyway, let's try and hit this. And the camera flips around annoyingly as it does in KSP, so I have no idea which way I'm firing my engines. So I should have used chase mode, but it switched automatically. And we get a miss there, which is annoying because it's kind of side on, it's quite hard to hit. But anyway, let's fire another one. Let's try and take this blade down. But yeah, again, the control system's a bit messed up. Although it's not too much of a problem, but still, it's not great. And the camera does something weird again. I'm getting rather annoyed at that because it throws off my control scheme completely. But anyway, this looks like I might be a little closer, but at the last minute I think I fire the wrong thrusters, as you saw there, and miss because I was trying to fire the other ones. But anyway, if we're going to stop it from being active, we can take out its station and it will have nowhere to run, because that is where its fuel is, and it's a short-range fighter, so we can completely destroy it. However, it did look as if there was the rebel heavy fighter at the station, and yes, I'm in a battle cruiser of some description, but I am still a little worried about this because it has very, very high impact missiles, very high thrust to weight ratios, and as we have seen before, it can just rip apart a carrier. Although this does have much heavier armor than Hermes, which was torn apart quite easily actually. It's still worrying, and there are still gaps because there are still missile tubes and gaps around the engines, and I've actually seen on this type of ship actually just have pieces of metal ripped out from ripped out by missiles such as those. Since I have done this sort of thing before, I have seen small Corvette type ships be taken down by heavy fighters. But they only have one, so hopefully I'll be able to, beat them. And we have managed to get the jump on them, as it were. So let's just put ourselves in null our velocity relative to the station, and hopefully get some shots in with some of those bigger missiles. I haven't really come up with a name for those missiles yet. I don't know. I'll have to come up with some names, I guess. Well, they're basically anti-capital / anti-station missiles at this point, so that is what they will be doing. So let's get our shot in. We've skipping ahead until I've lined up. I use the autopilot to line me up with the target, and then I turn the lining up thing off because it jitters around too much and that throws off your missile. So anyway, let's fire our first missile, and it's looking good. And let's switch to the missiles, and it looks like a hit, but that wasn't actually a great shot. But oh yes, a great camera shot is what I meant. We have torn apart this station. I wish I'd watched it from the Illustrious at that point, because it wasn't that impressive from the missiles, but we have torn it off. But the fighter looks kind of undamaged, so I'll catch up with it and put a few shots in on the last bit of the station and hopefully destroy that fighter, because it is our arch enemy at this point, and probably the leader from what we can deduce from it, sending out the other fighter first. But we have lined ourselves up again. It's just a matter of, rotating until the missiles will be in the right sort of plane, I guess, and fire them again. But for some reason they sort of veer off, and I don't think I was aiming particularly well anyway. I might not have disposed of some casings particularly well. But anyway, I have more missiles, and I will fire them all if I have to. And this looks good. but it must have slipped through some gaps. You could see it kind of did go in the same space, but it must have just kind of gone around it, which is hugely annoying, but I am not letting this get away. I've fired 6 missiles at this and only destroyed the station, and the fighter is still about. So, I will try once again to use these. I think this will be much easier with a bigger target, because I won't need to control it so finely. Which is good, because that was a problem before. It was very difficult to control and point very well. And if I put it in chase mode and try and keep it in chase mode, and hopefully the game won't change it, it's not that hard to control. But I would like to change the control system of these missiles in the future, because smart missiles are very useful on a big ship. Rather than having to point it and things, when you want to pinpoint something, you definitely need smart missiles, which is what these are, because they have a probe and they can control themselves. But anyway, I'm also moving in much more tentatively there. I'm trying to keep myself, well, keep moving fast, but not fly off in the wrong direction too quickly. But yeah, we are moving in now, and I am just going to thrust forward and try and get some serious run-up and hopefully destroy something. And here we go. And it looks like we've knocked the fighter off its perch, but it's not destroyed. But oh, we tore it. That was an incredibly good shot. I am just bewildered constantly by how well these small missiles do. Like those against Hermes, my Scorpions did really well. That just kind of broke that station apart. But it looks like the Rebel heavy fighter is having none of this. So it's moving in. Well, it has moved in and shutting down its engine to fire up its missiles. These deadly missiles, and there they go. But they seem to do the thing a lot of missiles seem to do in KSP and veer off, which is good for me, but it still has 2 more, which it's firing 2 at a time now for some reason. But anyway, let's ignite these up, or well, let's not, well, they will at least. Anyway, these look straight though, and that looks like a hit, a very kind of flashy hit. It seemed to disappear quite quickly, but hopefully we're okay. But it seems to be trying to make an escape now because it's out of armament. I, however, have 1 more missile, and I am getting after this. This is not getting away again. It has escaped into space twice now after engagements, and this time we brought the big guns, and the big guns get the job done. Big guns protect you from people with smaller guns. You're damn right. So let's dispatch our next missile. Oh well, our final missile, and hope to God that it destroys this. And this was oh, it seems to be having some trouble decoupling, but, well, there we go. And anyway, having more trouble with the control scheme and actually hitting the Corvette on the way out. Very foolish of me. Yeah, but hopefully I will update these. But it doesn't matter about updating these. Right now, this missile just has one thing to do. Hit the goddamn Rebel heavy fighter. So here we go. Let's try and get our speed up and keep on. Looks like we're on a pretty good course. And the nice thing about having 4 thrusters is we can aim quite well. And here we go. Looks like we're going to hit. And, oh, right in the cockpit. And it looks like it's torn out. That has been destroyed. Oh, we ripped that apart. Oh, these missiles are actually pretty good in theory. They just need a better control system. Anyway, it's time to capture this heavy fighter and take it home. Because, well, or wait for someone else to bring it back. Because it might offset this. This is just going to probably keep it here until, well, maybe even some more fuel for this Corvette arrives. Just because it's a little low. Don't want it stalling. But yeah, anyway, we must take this pilot into custody and question him using peaceful terms. We are not an evil organization, but we do have a military which is willing to get answers one way or another. Just keep throwing him through re-entry in poorly made ships until he's so scared that he tells us the answers. I like the idea of space, like making people give you answers in very space ways. But anyway, it is dark, so I'm having a little trouble. But we do move in, and we are going to get him with our single docking port, which we don't have. Well, obviously we don't have a lot of docking ports, so that's just more parts and more things to be destroyed. But this Rebel heavy fighter had no match against the Illustrious. This has been an illustrious mission for it. It has taken out a station, withstood attacks from 2 fighters, and destroyed an evil fighter. Although the Blade did appear to get away, even though in fairness, the Blade earned that. It got an epic shot, that twist shot. I've really got to make sure I include decouplers on those missiles. I mean, the Rebels really have to make sure they include decouplers on those missiles. But yeah, we still have some casing in here. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. This is pretty unarmed now. But the Rebel heavy fighter doesn't know that. Not that it's a heavy fighter anymore, it's a pod. And you can see the battlefield just all over Minmus. But anyway, that does bring us to the end of this episode, and I do hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you will come back for the next episode. This has been KSP with Tape. I will see you next time.